I kissed my best friend's father, and he got a heart attack. We raced to the school gate as soon as the bell rang, excited for the weekend. As usual, I was about to win the race until Grace pulled one of her tricks to distract me and won. Loser gets to clean the dishes, she shouted, making me laugh and put a mocking face. Whatever, cheater, I told her and followed her. Christmas holidays have officially started, and we have almost 2 weeks to stuff our mouth with the yummiest food and gain all the weight back, which we tried losing all summer. But this is our yearly routine, and it's the most fun part of the year. Grace and I have been best friends since childhood when her family shifted in our neighborhood nearly 17 years back, when I was just 3 years old. My mother tells me I ran to them and tried helping them arrange their furniture when they were moving in, and everyone still laughs at this, but ever since then, we have been pretty close. We started celebrating our own Christmas ritual when we were 5 called Bed and Breakfast, where we would have a sleepover watching movies, playing around the house, building a castle, late night snacks and playing games, and waking up next morning to some great breakfast cooked by our parents, either at my house or hers. Not just this, we have another tradition made just for me and Grace, where we tell each other our biggest secret every year. Just like I told her 2 years back that I'm gay, which she accepted openly, and to its exchange she told me that she kissed my brother, which shook me and made me cringe bad, but I couldn't get angry, as per the promise that we will not judge each other no matter what the secret is, and will stick together as it is. So I just laughed it off. We know everything about each other except this one little secret of mine that I have kept with me for the last few years, and it's going to be a secret that I will keep with me forever unless... I rushed to Grace's house after getting fresh at mine. The decorations have already started. Some didn't even take off their Halloween decorations even though it's been months. Unlike David, Grace's dad, has always been a big Christmas fan and starts preparing for it a week before, which I can already see now. I knocked on the door and David opened it. "Oh hey, Stev," he said, smiling, welcoming me to their house. I always loved how he called me Stev. "Hey David," I replied as I took a long gaze at him before entering the house. As expected, it looked spectacular with all the decorations and lights. "Grace is upstairs. Go up," he said, and I nodded, walking upstairs. "So what are we watching tonight?" I asked her as we planned a movie marathon this holiday. "Let me guess. On the count of 3, I said. 1, 2, 3. Twilight," we both shouted and laughed at the accuracy. "Ugh, it was so easy to guess. We have seen it 10 times though," I said. "Doesn't matter. Let today be the 11th time," she said, mocking me. "Kids, dinner's ready," I heard David say, and we rushed down already feeling hungry from all that smell of chicken pie. As I went down, I heard bell noises coming. I looked here and where to find the small bells hanging from the mistletoe. "You know, my mom always said you have to kiss the person you are standing with under the mistletoe," Grace said as she caught me staring at the mistletoe. "It's all bookish, Grace. No one does that in real life," I said, laughing. "It's not. My mom and dad used to do it every year before she passed away," she said, first in the angry tone which turned into a sad one as she remembered her mother. "Jean is not around anymore. It's been 2 years since Jean passed away, and there is no day that Grace doesn't miss her. She was a sweet soul who always saw me as one of her children, only and was really playful around us, but she caught an irreversible disease which caused her to lose her life 2 years back." The mood was getting tense at the dining table, so David cleared his throat and started a conversation. "So, only 2 more months until senior year. And what's the plan?" "Well, I'm looking for Brett College," I replied. "We are looking for Brett College," Grace said, stressing on we. Her and I made a plan of going to the same school and college, if possible, the same workplace as well. We pretty much love each other's company and have no plans of changing that. We were done with dinner. Grace picked some dishes and went to the kitchen. David and I started cleaning the rest of the place. I kept glancing at David. He looked really handsome and big in his white shirt that fits his bulky body perfectly. Even though he's nearly 45, no one can make that out because of his physique, which he has maintained really well. He caught me looking at him and asked, "Care for a drink?" "Yeah, sure, I will get the glasses," I said, feeling a bit shy, and walked in the kitchen to get the glasses and call Grace. We both happily came out of the kitchen, excited to drink something real. We're not regular drinkers, but it's fun to drink with David once in a while, especially when my parents have no idea about it, and David is helping me keep it that way, but only until I keep the promise of not drinking outside. We all sat in the living room, putting on Twilight to watch while David made our drinks. He came back with a tray and we all picked our glasses. Slowly, everyone got comfortable, and one glass turned to second to third. While we were on our third glass of wine, I noticed Grace had fallen asleep. I took the glass from her hands and got up to keep it away. Meanwhile, David turned the TV off. As I turned, I noticed both David and I were standing under the mistletoe. If it was a normal me, then I would have backed off, but alcohol gave me the confidence and rush, so I stood there. I could see David being tipsy as well, which was suiting my energy. Is it true that I have to kiss under the mistletoe? I asked him to take a step closer. Yes, it is, he replied while standing still. Then I would like to be a part of this tradition, I said as I pushed myself closer to him, until my lips met his and we shared a kiss. We both stood there for a few seconds, with our lips touching each other's, but not moving. A minute later, David moved back, making me move back as well. We just looked at each other and continued with our work as if nothing happened. I will help Grace to bed, I said before leaving the hall. I picked Grace up and carried her to her bedroom, which we both were going to share tonight. It doesn't sound weird to anyone considering I'm gay and that we build our separate tents during Christmas to sleep in. I put her in her tent, which was full of her plushies, fairy lights, and some 10 lip balms, and moved towards mine, which I wanted to keep as simple as possible. But Grace managed to put some fairy lights on that as well. But thank God that she at least considered the color and chose a cool blue light. I slipped inside and laid there for a while, definitely not sleepy, but in the haze of alcohol, I couldn't take my mind off the kiss. It's the first time ever I was so close to David as a man, after liking him for nearly 5 years. I tried to stop myself from liking him, knowing it's wrong and that he had a wife back then, but it only became stronger when I overheard David and Jean's conversation, where David told her that he is bisexual and had a boyfriend before they got married. Jean took it sportingly, knowing what a great husband David is, but it made my stomach turn upside down as it gave me hope that there can be something between us, maybe even for a day. I don't know how long my thoughts kept me up, but as soon as I heard some faint noises coming from downstairs, I took a look at Grace, who was peacefully snoring, and pulled a cover over her properly. She immediately cuddled the blanket. After that, I slowly opened the door without making any noise. I wasn't that drunk by now. In fact, I was pretty normal, so I walked without trembling here and there. As I stepped down, I saw a faint figure under the dim lights in the hall. I stood on the stairs, realizing it's David, and kept watching him from afar. He was cleaning all the mess we had made over the night, probably for the morning breakfast plan. I looked at the clock, realizing it's 4 a.m., too early to clean, so I walked toward them. He noticed my sudden presence and flinched. "Oh, Stev, what are you doing this early?" he asked, but I questioned him back. "I heard some noises, so I came down to check. Are you cleaning so early in the morning?" I asked him. "Oh, well, same. I wasn't able to sleep either, and sorry for the noise," he said. "It's alright, I wasn't sleeping anyways. Here, let me help you clean," I said, and started picking up the unfinished fruit bowls. "It's alright, Stev. Try getting some sleep," he said. But I ignored it and continued cleaning. He gave up after a while and started cleaning the other side. This time I noticed him staring at me just like I did hours back. His glares gave me butterflies, but I tried focusing on my work. Nearly half an hour went in cleaning, and we were good to go. I walked up to him to give him all the blankets which he saw, and immediately came to help me carry them. But again, this time we found ourselves under the amazing mistletoe that made my dream come true hours back. But before I could move away, David held my hands. "Stev, about the kiss. It was sudden, and maybe because of the alcohol, I cut him off before he could finish. Do you regret it, David?" I asked him. He took a while to answer, so I repeated myself again. "Do you regret it, David?" "Be honest," I said firmly, ready for any sort of answer. "No." To my surprise, he said no. "Then I'm going to do it again," I said, dropping the blankets off our hands and pulling him in for the kiss. His hands reached for my waist, pulling me closer, and our lips intertwined together. I could feel the heat between us. Neither of us stopped kissing. We pulled each other in closer and closer, even when we were running out of breath. I took a pause and rested my forehead on his. "You have no idea how long I waited for this," I told him, and felt his lips curved into a smile. "It's so sudden for me, but I'm loving every second of it," he said, making my heart race faster. "I can't stop kissing you, David," I said bluntly. "And I don't want us to stop, Stev," he said, pulling me into his kiss again. After continuing for a while, we decided to stop before it's too late. "Go to sleep now," he said, patting my hair. "You too," I told him. He playfully spanked me, and I ran upstairs smiling. I opened the door softly and checked on Grace, again, and just like I left her, she was fast asleep, snoring softly, while cuddling her blanket. I walked towards my tent and turned off the fairy lights. I thought I won't be able to fall asleep, but I slept faster than ever with this taste around my lips. I woke up next morning with a tasty smell of waffles, but also something heavy on my body. I opened my eyes to realize it's Grace. She must have come a while back to wake me up, but ended up falling asleep. It's usually what happens. I pushed her legs off me and called her name out. "Get up, Grace," I told, and heard tiny whimpers from her. After a while, I started tickling her, which led her to wake up immediately, and her morning was already full of laughter. We stopped as we heard the door knock. "Breakfast is ready, guys," said David as he peeked his head inside a bit. "Okay, Dad, coming," Grace said. David gave me a small glimpse and smiled, making me immediately smile, but I tried not to make it look suspicious. I got fresh. Usually we both have our brushes and other essentials at each other's place. I went down following the fresh smell. "I'm so hungry," I said. "I guess I'm still hungover from last night," said Grace, holding her head. "Here, have some juice," David said, passing her the glass of fresh orange juice. He has always been a sweet, caring dad, which makes him 10 times more attractive. He served me hot waffles with some sausage and juice. We started eating and Grace started the conversation. "Last night was so fun, but I don't remember what happened after we all drank," she said, and I heard David cough loudly, which made me smirk. I thought I would play around a bit. I pushed my legs toward his under the table, smoothly gliding it up and down his legs. I noticed his body getting tense. It's cute how he's double my age, yet his body reacts like this with just one touch. "Nothing much. David and I just watched TV for a while after you slept," I said. "Y'all watched Twilight without me?" she screamed. "No, chill. We just flipped through the channels and saw this one gay movie we found randomly," I said, making David raise his eyebrows. I noticed a small smile on his face. All of a sudden, he trapped my leg between his legs, making my heart flutter immediately. "You, don't turn him gay, Steven. No offense," she said, laughing. "Oh, trust me, it's the other way around," I said, and noticed a serious look on her face. "Just kidding," I laughed it off, and she hit my arm slightly. We were all done with breakfast, the final thing for our bed and breakfast, although this time it was way more than that. "So what plans for the evening?" Grace asked. "I'm already tired, Grace," I told her. "Why, you lazy punk? You slept all night," she said. "Sure I did," I scoffed, looking at David. "Okay, I'm going home now. I need to take a nap. I'll text you about our plans later," I said, and bid my goodbye to both of them. I reached home and met my parents, who were busy talking to relatives about holidays. I said hi to them over video call and went straight to my home to take a nice shower followed by a nap. A few days went just like that, with me meeting Grace and hanging out either at my house or hers until Christmas was finally over. In the middle of us hanging out, I got some moments alone with David, which we both enjoyed, secretly kissing each other a few times and even us dancing along with Grace and holding each other without any suspicion of Grace. Now we just have a week's worth of holidays left, so we sat in my backyard and made a list of things we needed to do. "We need to go to the beach," she said, and I wrote, "Fish hunt," I said. "Why can't you call it fishing like normal people?" she said, making an annoyed face. "Because our ancestors have always hunted their food," I said, mocking her back. "Okay, I need to buy some more sweaters before school opens again," she said, and I wrote it down. "You're helping me paint my garage," I said. "No way, I'm not ruining my skin or clothes painting your garage," she said. "Well, if you say so, I guess Lucas and I will have to do it by ourselves," I said, knowing she won't say no now. "Ugh, I guess I'll just come to support my best friend," she said, trying her best to make it sound casual. "Yeah, more like best friend's brother, but okay," I replied back. "Whatever, dork." We finished the list and went inside to eat some ice cream. Next morning, I woke up to something blowing a horn right on my face. "Grace, stop," I shouted. "Who let you in?" I shouted again, angry as I was still sleepy. "Someone who is not wasting his time sleeping like you," she replied, taunting me. "Ugh, I will kill Lucas," I growled. "You need to get up for that first," she said, blowing the horn again. It annoyed me, but it was also funny. I woke up, finally giving in. When I opened my eyes properly, I noticed Grace wearing an all-floral swimsuit, which made me realize it was our beach day. "Oh, sorry, I forgot. I'll get ready now," I said, and rushed to my bathroom. I took my car keys and we left for the beach. It was not that crowded, so we had a lot of fun throwing each other in water and hitting each other with the wet sand. After hours of sitting there, it was getting dark, so we decided to pack and return home. "I'm so tired, I'll probably take a nap as soon as I get home." "Alright, sleepyhead," I said, and drove us back home. She got off immediately. "Take your bags," I shouted from behind. "Carry them for me, thanks," she said before running away. "Ugh, this girl," I exclaimed before carrying all her stuff inside her house. As I stepped in, I noticed David sitting on a sofa watching football. "Hey, Stev," he said in his raspy voice. "Hey, David," I replied back. "I have Grace's bags," I told him while showing the bags I was carrying. "Oh, keep it anywhere. She already went up," he replied, and I kept them on the couch. "Would you like to watch this match with me?" he asked me, patting me on the space beside him, and I couldn't say no. I sat beside him feeling shy. I was sitting close enough to him but was distanced by the pillow between us, which he noticed me staring at and removed it immediately, causing our legs to touch. Even though we have kissed a few times, moments like this makes my heart flutter. We started watching the game and I heard him cheer for his favorite team, which happened to be my favorite as well. He looked like a kid cheering for his team. It was so cute in that moment. I held his face and kissed him. But to my surprise, that soft kiss turned into a heated moment. His hands reached down my waist and he pulled me deeper into the kiss. "Should we take it to my room?" he asked, in his raspy voice, breath shaking. I immediately nodded. He held my hand and we walked towards his room, kissing each other desperately. I was thankful that Grace was tired and probably taking a nap right now. As we reached his room, he pushed the door and things got even more heated between us. He sat on the edge of the bed with me on his lap. We continued kissing. His hands reached the hem of my shirt, which he was about to remove, until we heard a loud bang from the door opening and revealing Grace standing there in full shock. "What the hell is going on?" she screamed loudly. I got off David and fixed my clothes. "Grace, I can explain," David said, understanding the severity. "How could you?" She looked at me and asked. "Grace, please try to understand," I said, trying to make her understand. "He's my dad, Steven. How could you do this to me? Were you that desperate to make out with a guy that you took my dad?" She replied, and her harsh words started to hurt me. Before I could say something, David stepped in. "Grace, it's enough. He didn't do anything," he said, making me look at him with nearly tears in my eyes, getting the feeling of support. "He didn't do anything? That means it was all you, Dad?" she asked, even more disappointingly. "Dad, it's been only 2 years since Mom passed away. How could you do this to her? Do she and I mean anything to you anymore?" She continued screaming. "Grace, you're taking it the wrong way. Before I met your mother, I was already... Stop making excuses, Dad. I feel so ashamed right now. Were you keeping me in this house only for the insurance money Mom kept for me?" She said it out of nowhere, and it was the harshest thing she has ever said, considering how sweet David is to her and was to her mother, Jean. "Dad, honestly, I'm so disappointed in both of you. I can't even imagine." "David," I cut Grace off as I noticed David falling on his knees while clenching on his chest tightly. Before he could say anything, his breath became heavy. "Call 911, Grace." "What's happening?" she asked. "Call 911, we don't have time," I screamed at her, and she ran downstairs to get the mobile. I kept holding him and rubbing his chest to ease the pain, but nothing seemed to work. I tried talking to him until an ambulance arrived to keep him awake. 20 minutes later, the ambulance arrived and we shifted him in. Grace and I sat next to him and kept holding his hand. I noticed it was getting awkward for Grace to see me like this, and I understood that the relationship of her father and daughter is stronger here, so I pushed myself back and let her take charge. We reached the hospital soon, and the doctor shifted him to the ICU. Grace and I stayed outside, waiting for some news to come. Meanwhile, I excused myself for a while. I needed a moment to understand all that happened, and how to face Grace now, since I can't leave her like this. And yes, I do owe her some explanation. So I decided to take a drink from the vending machine and went back to her. "Here, half of this," I told her, while giving her a can of juice. She took it without causing any scene. I sat next to her, patiently waiting for her to say something. After 10 minutes of silence, she spoke. "Why him, Steven?" she asked. "Grace, I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but it's just how we got in a while," I replied. "A while? Since when is it going on?" she asked, getting serious. "Since bed and breakfast night. He got drunk and then under the mistletoe," I told her, the entire story. "Oh my god, what have you guys done? My dad is straight. How can even..." she said, putting her face in her palms. "Grace, the truth is your dad is bi, and I've known this for a while. I overheard him telling your mom some years later, which kept me going on to like him, or else I would have stopped. I promise, but knowing he is bi gave me a little hope, which led to this." I explained everything to her. "What? Why did I not know about this?" she questioned me back. "Maybe it wasn't required for them to let you know about it, but your mom took it really well," I told her. "It's too much for me to take it while he's in the ICU, all because of me. I need some time," she said, and started sobbing. I didn't say anything further, but hugged her. "It's been 2 days since he woke up. Doctor said it was a minor heart attack, but could have been serious. He also said it was important that he doesn't take any stress and takes good care of his physical and mental health." "We'll make sure of it, doctor. Thank you so much," I told him. In these 2 days, Grace was alone a lot of the time while I stayed around her to keep an eye on her and David at the same time. We heard a nurse saying that David is up now and we can meet him. Before I could say anything, I saw Grace running inside and hugging David. He hugged her back, and it was a lovely moment to witness, so I decided not to interrupt. I stayed by the door and heard Grace say, "I'm sorry, Dad. You're like this because of me," she said, sobbing. "No, dear, it has nothing to do with you. Maybe you were right," he continued. "No, Dad, I was wrong. I should have understood that it's time for us, especially me, to move on from Mom and allow you to do the same in any way you like. After all, you are an individual and you deserve to be happy. Let it be with anyone, even Steven." she said, making both of our eyes go widen. What do you mean? David asked. In these 2 days, I understood that it's more important, Dad. It's how we all feel rather than what others think is right or wrong. So go ahead with your relationship with Steven. I'm sure Mom would be happy too, she replied, making both of us cry. I ran to them and hugged both of them. By now, all three of us were in tears, but also glad to have each other around. Conclusion. It's been a year since Steven and David came together. David's health became way better after all the love and care he was getting from everyone. Grace filled in for college and decided to move to another country while Steven couldn't get into college, but both Grace and Steven took it sporty. He applied for another college in the town, which also helped him stay near David and enjoy his new relationship, which was full of roller coasters. Both David and Steven would go visit Grace every weekend. Grace would come back during holidays. Their bed and breakfast tradition continued, and just like any other year, they made their holiday a list and built their tents decorated with fairy lights for both of them, without caring about him being a boy. They happily celebrated the holidays and festivals together, and Grace watched the couple kiss under the mistletoe. The end. What would you do if you were in the place of Grace? Let us know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become part of our Rainbow Force, and stay wholesome.